Welcome to Jamie's Vinyl Hideaway. Tonight, I'm going to take you on my journey with Alice Cooper. A personal journey on how I came to listen and to love Alice Cooper. Now, I've done some Alice Cooper shows before. My very first Jamie's Vinyl Hideaway show was Alice Cooper. And I did a couple other ones, but they got blocked. And I took them down, so if you saw those, this might be a little bit of a repeat of things, but this is a little more personal because I'm going to tell you how I came to be a fan. So a lot of people my age, when they first saw Alice Cooper in the newspaper or wherever, they were kind of a little horrified, right? I listened to good, wholesome bands from England, like Black Sabbath and the Rolling Stones. So this freaky-looking band with a guy that wears, black makeup around his eyes was just a little too much for a 14-year-old kid. But guess what? This 14-year-old kid is going to be 15 soon. And one summer, I heard it. School's Out. What was that, the summer of '72? School's Out on the radio. I was like, holy crap, this is awesome. And my friend Bill from the neighborhood, he's got the School's Out album. And he's like, Jamie, listen to this, man. This is awesome. School's Out. It's got the song School's Out. And then he starts singing some of the other songs. He was really into it, very dramatic. And I was getting into it. I was like, yeah, School's Out. And by the way, how come you didn't have the panties, Bill? I would have remembered this. But I take out the Alice Cooper albums on the gimmick shows that I do with the gimmick covers. And every Alice Cooper album was a gimmick. So anyway, School's Out, first album I ever heard of Alice Cooper, their fifth album. So time goes on. Of course, right after that, they released the single, Elected. The band, Alice Cooper, the band from Phoenix, Arizona that went to Los Angeles and then to Detroit. Elected was their second, third hit maybe on the radio, but I never heard I'm 18. So I'm hearing that, Elected on the radio. And Bill is like, Alice Cooper's gonna be on TV tonight. You gotta check it out. So when we all got done doing our little 15-year-old hanging out thing, we went home, Saturday night, 11 o'clock, in concert. Alice Cooper, I couldn't believe what I was seeing and hearing. It was beautiful. I mean, for a kid, in my, mindset at the time, Bela Lugosi's my favorite actor, and how does a band that's just like, I don't know, it's just really moving me. So I asked my grandmother, I said, Nanny, get me an Alice Cooper album, please. Nanny would get all the cool records for all the grandkids. And what came out, 1973, $1 Billion Babies. And I told Alice this story that my grandmother bought me this record. He thought that was kind of odd. That a grandmother, because their whole goal was to have the parents hate them so the kids would love them. But my grandmother bought me $1 Billion Babies. Great album. I just love this album. And, complete with billfold, nice pictures of the group. It's just a really good album. It became, my favorite album at the time. But, I was 15, and I gave my mother grief when I was 15. So, and it wasn't like she could, smack me anymore. I would dodge the advances toward, discipline. So she was like, well, how am I going to get through to this kid in my fit of rage while he's being a little punk? She grabbed a wrench that we used as a hammer. This was our hammer at the house. It was a wrench laying around. She grabbed it and ran into my bedroom and smashed whatever was on the platter of my little cheap Sears turntable, which, of course, was my favorite record, $1 Billion Babies. Smash. She just like right through the record, right through the platter. I had to buy a new little plastic platter. It was like 7 inches, Anyway, so I was without $1 Billion Babies. So my friend Jay was like, "Hey, I got $1 Billion Babies, and you got that new album by Black Sabbath called Volume 4. And I was kind of, Volume 4, it didn't, it wasn't like the previous Black Sabbath albums for me. And so we traded. I gave him my Volume 4. He gave me $1 Billion Babies, my second $1 Billion Babies. And he regretted that, that trade for the rest of his life. Because, let's face it, $1 Billion Babies, Volume 4. What do you want to have in your album collection? Not the Black Sabbath fans out there. But anyway, I'm a fan now. $1 Billion Babies has opened up a whole new world for me. So I'm at Corvettes. Remember Corvettes?
Corvettes.
Corvettes, and I had a great record store. And, what's this?
Oh, I didn't know.
Should I do this? What is this? A Stump to Jamie?
This is a stump for you.
All right.
This is
Before I
stump
tell you
number
that, the next record that I got, we got Stump to Jamie #1.
You're such an Alice fan. This will be a softball.
Let's see. Yeah. I'm glad you wrote this big. I
Embarrassing
didn't bring my glasses over. How many albums has Alice recorded as a single artist? Well, that I have no idea. Because he's done like dozens of them. And by the way, this little show here is about Alice Cooper, the group. But and we'll get to the sad ending of the group, which happens pretty quickly once Jamie's into them. But I don't know how many. If you know how many Alice Cooper albums as a solo artist, Alice the man has recorded, please make a comment on my YouTube channel there. Notice I didn't say webpage.
I know.
Because I don't have a webpage.
I'm so great.
But on the YouTube channel. So, how many albums did Alice Cooper record as a solo artist? I don't know. But I can tell you that the Alice Cooper group, as some call it these days, recorded like 6, 7 albums.
But that was not the question.
But I want to talk about that because. So there I am in Corvettes. I was like, well, what Alice Cooper album am I going to buy next? And there's a guy standing there, and remember Corvettes used to have the albums on the wall, and there was this album, Killer. Now you got to remember, I was pretty familiar with the character of Alice and the group, by this time, but. Still, it was a little scary, It was like, look at these guys. They all look pretty, regular, except for, what's this guy with the freaking makeup around his eyes? What was that? But anyway, so I'm looking at the albums, and there's, several of them there, and a guy there, he's like, Killer, I think, is the next album you want to get. So I got Killer. Bought it with my own money, I suppose, because I remember being at Corvettes buying it. And what a great album. This is like probably one of the greatest rock and roll albums of all time. Killer, their 4th album, 1971, I guess. Came with a calendar. Something that you just want your kids to have hanging in the bedroom. 1972 calendar of Alice hanging.
Quite cheery.
They were adding the executions to the shows by this time. But anyway, Killer, the 4th album by Alice Cooper, on a nice little. Let's see. This is they used to come with these little sleeves, the Warner Brothers sleeves. Used to sell the albums to you. Really cool stuff. And what was this? Oh, that was a nice green Warner Brothers label. So where do you go after that? You got Billion Dollar Babies. You don't have Schools Out, but everybody else has got that. You'll get to that later. You got Billion Dollar Babies. You got Killer. Where are you going to go? You're going to go to the Breakthrough album, Love It to Death. Now, Love to Death, their third album after they moved to Detroit. Barb Ezrin starts producing. Actually, Jack Richardson produced this one, I think. And anyway, but Barb Ezrin is on the scene, and this is just a lovely little record. And it's the thumb cover, you know, the unairbrushed cover. It's got I'm 18 on it. Just a nice album. Oh, and I got not long ago, I got a new issue of it. It's a little brighter. You notice that Dennis's eyes aren't as dark. You know, something about this, the only guy that really, I gotta mention this now. I'm not scared of the Alice Coopers anymore. But, you know, but Glenn Buxton, you know, I don't know, man. He kind of scared me a little. You know, he never seemed to smile. Great guitar player. Anyway, he's always a lovely guy. But, you know, you got Glenn and Dennis Dunaway, Neil Smith, Alice Cooper, and Michael Bruce. And this reissue here is on the, look at that, nice
that's
black
beautiful.
and white.
That's beautiful.
And remember we came home one night from watching some horrible movie called, you know, you remember that horrible movie? You don't even want to hear the name. We came back from the Belcourt Theater, and I tried to cheer you up with some Alice Cooper. It didn't work.
The Chucky
meets
sister.
Chucky meets the Little Mermaid.
Chucky's sister Annette.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Oh my God, nothing could cheer me up from that. I was traumatized for months.
I know, right? I mean, man.
And you cheered me up with Alice Cooper.
Hey, you know, Is It My Body?
Not
Come
the Partridge
on.
Family
like
or
Black Juju. I mean, come on. You know, that's cheery shit. I mean, stuff. So there I am. I got the. Where am I going to go next?
Where are you going?
I got all the, you know. No, I don't have them all.
Where are you going?
I don't know what if Muscle of Love came out before I bought the next album, but let's pretend that it didn't. At some point, I started going back, you know, because this is what I do. You know, if I find a band, you know, and I'm already, you know, they're already into album number 6, you know, I got to go backwards, right? So I went and then I bought the second album, Easy Action. That was on Straight Records. That was Frank Zappa's label, subsidy of Warner Brothers. It was Straight. Great album, produced by David Briggs. Perhaps not the best produced, as Neil Smith pointed out to me when I asked him about it. But good songs, good stuff. And inside those albums, it came with these little things. And this was Zapped.
So Zappa promoting himself?
Well, it was, you know, like that other, you know, thing was, you know, was Warner Brothers putting out records, you know, highlighting Warner Brothers artists. Well, this was Frank Zappa's version of it. And it was like Frank Zappa, you know, the artists on his Bizarre and Straight labels.
Oh.
Yeah, and but you know, of course, Alice was one of them, and I was going to read a little bit of them, but I can't see it without my glasses, and that would just slow things down. But you know, I'm really happy to have the original thing in the record sleeve. Nice straight label, was a nice little purplish label there. Right? Straight. Mm-hmm. They went from Straight to Warner Brothers. Somewhere in the middle of Love It to Death. And what is this? What is it? Stump Jamie
Stump.
number 2?
Yeah, but
Sorry.
I think it says number 3, but don't be alarmed.
What is it?
Because there is a number 2. I just think I got them out of
Number
order.
3. Number 3. Stump to Jamie. Who did the band have their first audition with?
Yeah, kind of interesting timing that I would ask that now.
I don't know, their first audition or I mean, you know, they got to L.A. and somehow they hooked up with Frank Zappa. But their first audition? It's got to be before that, right? It's not Frank Zappa. That's their first audition.
This is not how stumping is done, but if you're
You got to figure
answer
that
it.
somebody rejected
Is that your
them
answer, or
first.
you want to phone a friend? Is that your answer?
That's my answer.
What's your answer?
I'm going with Frank Zappa.
That's
because no
correct.
one else would talk to these guys.
That's correct.
Because I mean,
The
come on, look at them.
The story goes that Shep Gordon brought them to Zappa and said, "You have to hear this band," and he was blown away by them and wanted them to do.
Well, no, he wasn't blown away. He was
This
just,
is-
these guys are so whacked that I want them on my label. He didn't like their music.
Can I say that something? The
No,
Google
sorry.
machine disagrees with you.
He was not blown away.
That's
he was
the
like,
quote.
whoa, okay, this is so,
Maybe
different,
he was high and it affected.
Frank Zappa. There he was.
But that's the
Well,
answer.
And what was on the living room wall when they walked in for the Frank Zappa interview? This freaking picture. Who puts this on their living room wall? It's like, it was big too. It was like it took up a lot of room. And then these guys walk in. Frank Zappa comes down with a cup of coffee at like 7 in the morning. It's like, I meant 7 at night.
Right, that was the other question that I didn't ask.
Pretties for You, their first album.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I gotta admit, this is the first Alice Cooper album that I bought that I was a little disappointed with. I mean, because this is odd stuff. I mean, they're just getting into a song and you're like, wow, okay. And then all of a sudden, boom, it changes into some, weird sounds.
Weird
But
sounds.
it kind of grows on you. Because let's face it, this is Alice Cooper. This stuff here. Pretties for You. The first album by Alice Cooper, also on Straight Records. So I got the first 6 Alice Cooper records by now, right? Actually, it took years for me to get the Schools Out, because like I said before, everybody else had Schools Out. I was hearing it, I just knew all the songs. So I was, buying, with my, my rare, my dwindling, supply of money, I could only buy so many records. So I skipped over and I bought the records that everybody else didn't have. And then Muscle of Love comes out. 1974, Muscle of Love comes out in a little box, complete with a stain on the bottom that people thought was a real stain, so they sent them back to the record store.
Yes, good
Might be
marketing.
why there's a cutout on this one. Not the best, design for a record. I don't like boxes for one. Boxes get crushed, easily. Especially this one. This is like something I'd buy a record in the mail, and it'd come in this. It's pretty cool. Came with a nice little sleeve. They're dressed up as Navy men now. Nice little sleeve. Came with a book cover you put on your textbook at school. But when we used to do book covers, And it was also on the Burbank label. Warner Brothers went from the green label to the Streets of Burbank looking label with the palm trees. Muscle of Love, great album. Not not $1 Billion Babies, but hey, not everything could be $1 Billion Babies. It didn't go platinum, but it went gold. It was a great album. And what else came out? Oh, they had like a little EP that they put out. Now, this was cool that I found this. It's like a little EP of like 4 songs from Muscle of Love. Actually, it's 3 songs from Muscle of Love and 1 song that never made it to the album. Yeah, but not on here. Never mind. Forget what I just said. 4 songs from Muscle Love on this little EP,
That's
which is
cute.
pretty cool. Great record. Alice Cooper. So Alice Cooper, they also put out a. All right, so there was 8 albums. It was Muscle Love would have been yeah. So there was 8 albums, which was the best of. The original Alice Cooper. I like this cover because it's got like all the a lot of Hollywood stars on the cover. There's Peter Lorre on the front, Groucho Marx. You know, yeah, just in you know, Bela Lugosi, Boris Karloff are on the inside. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. You know, Marilyn Monroe. I mean, all my favorites. All these songs are on the previous albums, but I got this just, you know, for the, you know, just because I had to have them all.
Because you could.
Because I could. I had them all. Where do you go from there, right? So, anyhow, my mother was a picker, right? And she would come home with things that she would buy at these garage sales. And one day she came home with a gold record, a RIAA Gold Record Award. And lo and behold, it was awarded to Shep Gordon for the album $1 Billion Babies. So the story goes that Shep had a house there on Fire Island, Long Island, and he'd left the gold record behind. The cleaning lady brought it home. 10 years later, my mother buys it from the cleaning lady and then brings it home to me. And I leave it hanging up in the house for like 15 years. Then I decide I'm going to track down somebody and give the gold record back to Shep. So, and that's exactly what happened. Long story short, I went to, you know, where they were playing in Indiana and gave the gold record back to Shep. It's like my claim to fame in the music world that, you know, I went backstage before and after the concert and I gave Shep his gold record back.
Look how happy he looks.
I was very happy. I was sad to part with the gold record, believe me.
I'm surprised he
But it was
didn't
worth it,
say, you know, it's okay, you keep it. You've kept it all these years.
Well, I'm
and that's
sure.
so
I'm
nice
sure
of
it's going to
you.
come back to me in the mail one
Yeah?
day. You know. Yeah. I'm sure it's.
Oh, you're very optimistic.
You know. But no, he brought it back to Maui with him. You know, I saw it in the movie. You know. Supermensch. So, if you want to hear more about the Alice Cooper group, I forgot to get the book, Dennis's book. Dennis Dunaway wrote a book a few years ago. It's over there on the shelf, but you don't want me running around in the
Not
middle of the
really,
shelf.
no.
Great book Dennis put out. Snakes and, you know, and guillotines and electric chairs.
What's the name of the
time
book?
with the that was the name of the book.
Snakes and electric chairs?
Snake and guillotines.
Oh.
My time with my time with the Alice
Oh.
with Alice Cooper or something like that. Just look for Dennis Dunaway. All right? Get the book. Great book. You know, it tells you a lot. And that's about all I got about that's my personal, experience with Alice Cooper. They've been there for me all these years, when I'm feeling down. I just, go throw on Killer.
I can totally understand that. That's uplifting.
Right. I mean,
That's uplifting shit.
You hear Hollow of Flies,
You forget your problems.
It all melts away.
Get happy.
You get happy.
Get happy with Alice.
I've been told it's a guy thing.
Really? Someone said that to you?
Yeah, somebody said that to me. It's like, well, Alice Cooper was more like a guy's band. Really? Okay. All right. It's like somebody else told me The Who was more like a guy's band.
Well, I was always envious of his eye makeup and his nails, so I didn't think...
Speaking of nails, you should see,
I thought he was gorgeous.
Neil Smith's nails on some of these things, But Anyway, great guys. I got them to autograph my my records up there on the wall behind me. Neil, Mike, and Dennis. Unfortunately, Glenn Buxton passed on, many years ago. Alice Cooper's still touring, having a good old time. Once in a while, collaborating with his old buddies from Phoenix.
And we saw him here at the Opry.
We saw him at the Grand Ole Opry right here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Go
Imagine
figure.
that?
Alice
Go figure.
Cooper at the Grand Ole Opry.
That's right, man. Anyway, so go see Alice Cooper, when you have a chance. And tune into my channel again, subscribe, share it, make some comments. If you have any questions, any more stumps?
Oh, there is a third stump.
And there's a third stump to Jamie.
It's labeled
I have
number
to
2.
ask for them now. Sheesh. Okay.
Well, you're not paying me. What do you want?
Stump to Jamie number 2. On what 60s TV show was there a character named Al? What?
It's a good question.
Freaking way.
It's a good question.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Where did that come from? On what 60s TV show was there a character named Alice Cooper?
And it had nothing to do with our Alice Cooper.
Well, obviously
but it was
not. It was
just,
in the 60s.
Right.
These were just, they were spiders in the 60s. That's what they called themselves.
But I always thought that he named himself after that character.
No,
Which is so
no.
strange to me. But
right, because what was it,
it's
some
not
lady next
related
door?
at all. Well, let's let your audience...
Does anybody know the answer? Now, this one I really want to know. This is a great question.
Well, you're not going to get it out of
A 60s
me.
TV show had a character, a recurring character?
Yes.
Named Alice Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. Oh, okay. It wasn't that diner show. They had an Alice.
No.
But, remember that show? That was like from the 70s anyway. So, anyhow, another show is coming up. Speaking of Frank Zappa, I mentioned Frank Zappa.
Yeah, what's next for Jamie's Final Hideaway?
Well, what I want to do next is have a guest come on the show. And the guest is going to be my friend Tony Trumbo. Tony Trumbo of Talking Zappa. He's got a blog, big Frank Zappa fan. They got a blog, talk about, Frank Zappa and whatnot. And he'll have a lot to say about Frank Zappa. So I'm going to break out my Zappa and Mothers and Invention albums, get Tony to come over, and we'll have a guest. So that's it. Tony Trumbo coming soon to Jamie's Vinyl Hideaway. That's it. Anything else? You look confused.
Well, I'm waiting for your closing line. It's not happening. I don't hear it, so...
Later, man. Move it.
Thank you.